All right, man. There's
Yeah.
one thing we haven't talked about.
Yeah. I'll let you. All right. So we just briefly wanted to discuss The Last of Us season two because that just wrapped up this past weekend. And Alan, I know you did not play the games. Um,
No.
I am, and this is even a hot take within gamers. I think The Last of Us 2 it's maybe in my top five games ever. I loved it, and the first one's phenomenal, and the second one's great because of it. But I love the second one, so I was really nervous about season two of the show. First of all, like when I watched the first season, I was like, "What the hell is this casting? This casting doesn't make sense because you're already casting something based off of actors that already had a look and feel for. So that's a challenge, right?
Yeah.
It's almost like an unfair thing that they had to go against. And then, I started seeing the casting for season two, and I was like, oh, please don't screw this up. Like, because the game, it's weird that games can mean so much to us, but when you spend 80 to 100 hours involved in a story, and it doesn't matter if they're make believe people. I mean, how many people spend that much time with real people in their own lives, right? You don't. So when you involve that much in the story, so yeah, with all that said, yeah, Last of Us season two, season one was really well received, and I enjoyed it, even though not loving the casting. And I will stop talking there because I want to see what you think of The Last of Us season two.
Well, so yeah, again, coming from somebody who did not play the game, uh, I thought the first season was phenomenal. I thought the storytelling was really innovative, the fact that they leave the main plot completely for an entire episode and um the way they incorporate the horror into it, but only when it's necessary. Um, I enjoyed it. I was looking forward to season two. And season two, I feel like they did more of that, where it's like it would have been a whole lot easier if what you get in episode six comes to you in episode one, but they don't do it that way. They deliberately don't tell you why they're not talking at the beginning.
Mm.
And maybe you as a gamer, you already know all of that's happening and you're just like, well, I already know why they're not talking. And and I'm thinking like maybe it's because uh he told her and that's why she's not talking to him. Or maybe it's because she found out from somebody and hasn't confronted him. Or maybe it's because she suspects him
Mm.
and is like planning this conversation, or maybe it's because of something completely unrelated. Um, like they just keep that part, unstated until the sixth episode, which I thought was a stroke of genius because it's like it creates a lot of tension and mystery to the whole dynamic, and and then the unexpected. Or I assume we're spoiler
Yeah,
alert. Yeah, yeah.
spoiler alert. Yeah,
Um, because there's
but
to get to get the whole value out of it. Yeah, we got to spoil it.
and in fairness, the game's been out for 10 years.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's not like it's fresh. But a lot of
Well,
people didn't
it's my
know.
understanding that Joel's death was in the game and that it was
Yes,
done very much the same way.
yeah.
Um,
That's what I mean. We can spoil it because again, I mean,
I
but
kind of had it spoiled for me, like I kept
okay.
seeing all these articles about major character death in the second episode or something like that, and I'm like, well, major character death. Like this is the type of show that would kill off a main character.
Hmm.
So it could be anybody. And, as the scene played out, it started to become clear what might happen.
Hmm.
Because like we don't know anything about Abby. She was just introduced to us. And so like it's probably not going to be her. Um, the only logical choice would be, him. And the fact that when he was being killed, he didn't fight back at all, which kind of speaks to the guilt that he has
Hmm.
over everything that he did was like very powerful for me.
Hmm.
And um and seeing the change happen in Ellie over the next couple episodes, I think there were parts where it didn't seem to fit as much, like maybe it's the casting like you mentioned, like she doesn't seem like the kind of person that could easily descend into the kind of character she needs to be by the end of the episode, by the end of the season.
Hmm.
Um, but that said, like when you get to the part where she's just going medieval on that girl in the basement there,
Hmm.
and then it cuts to a flashback of her and Joel, and then it cuts. I'm just like, that is chef's kiss. I really liked that. Um, and then the last episode, I think I mostly liked it, and I was like, I think the actual way that it ended is a little bit frustrating. Like if you're a Walking Dead fan, you know that they did this on The Walking Dead where there's like
I,
a major
I didn't
potential.
finish The Walking Dead, so just so you know.
Did you get up to where they introduced Negan?
Yeah, 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 yeah.
That's the one I'm talking about, where
Okay.
they like introduce him and he kills somebody, but you don't see who he kills, and you have to wait till the next season.
Hmm.
And everybody was so pissed about that because they're
Oh
like,
yeah, yeah.
"You're gonna make us wait the entire thing to see who he killed."
I
And
felt that way because I was still watching the show. Yeah.
yeah, and a lot of fans turned on the show after that, and I
Yep.
completely understand why. And if you see the way they wrote the season premiere of the next season after that, they could have easily made that the last episode, and it
Hmm.
would have been perfect. It would have still had the suspense, and it would have had the catharsis, and it would have
Hmm.
felt like a real season ender.
Hmm.
Like you can have a cliffhanger that opens up the possibility of a new story, but you still got to wrap up the story you just told. And
Hmm.
so I think that's the question I'm asking when I see um, what happened with Ellie.
Hmm.
And I think that they do, because I think that when she makes the decision to go medieval on that girl, that's when her story arc has changed officially.
Hmm.
Like she already is that. So I kind of feel like the cliffhanger's frustrating, but it's not like a deal breaker. It's not like, you know, oh no, they didn't wrap anything up. It's like, no, they kind of wrapped it up, and especially since they killed off this one dude just now, that's probably solidified now.
Hmm.
So,
Hmm.
but again, I don't know. I haven't played the game, so I don't know if she actually dies in the game, but they filmed it in such a way that you're not really sure.
Gotcha.
And I feel like that would only be satisfying if she survives. Um, because if she dies, then it would be like, well, why don't you just show that?
Hmm.
So
Okay.
overall, I enjoyed it. I will definitely be looking forward to season three.
Okay. I appreciate you sharing all that because I like, yeah, and that's why I didn't want to say anything, and I haven't like talked about it with anyone, and other than like my band, we talked about it because like my guitar player, like he's played the game, and and they've been watching the show too.
I keep forgetting you're in a band.
Yeah, yeah,
That's awesome.
yeah. Should have a show at some point pretty soon in the near future, our first show, so that'll be fun. Yeah, you know, it, the first game was so good, and yeah, you get so close to these characters, and you completely agree with Joel's decision to save Ellie. I mean,
Mhm.
because of what happened with his own daughter and things like that, and there was just I
Does
think,
he kill the doctor in the game?
yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So yeah, it's completely believable of him wanting to save this girl that he loves, because, and yeah, he lost his own daughter, so I think he's trying to make up for that. And then you're playing the second game, and then Joel dies very early on, and you have to play as Abby.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so you start
The whole
playing as
time or just
no,
at
no,
time?
At
Okay.
times, it switches between Ellie and Abby pretty frequently at the beginning. So the fact that like,
Interesting.
yeah, so you see Joel die, and you're in shock from that because again, for people that have played the first one, you just spent countless hours playing it, and then you're excited to be back with these characters again, and then you're crushed by this death, and then not long after, you then have to play as Abby, and you're just like, fuck this. Um, who
That's
knows what
pretty
changed? Have you noticed
that's
what
pretty
changed it?
smart though.
100%. It's a very smart. And so, yeah, it's like they kind of are introducing a lot of the Abby stuff a lot later in the TV show than in the game because it's kind of intertwined the whole thing, and you start to see Ellie start to lose her shit and like her decline into kind of madness through because of revenge. And
Hmm.
then Abby, who is just consumed by revenge, and I won't spoil anything for you. I hated this season. I hated it.
Mm.
My dislike of the casting, I mean, made it to where I really couldn't even enjoy the episodes. Um, I and I feel bad because when you look online, the memes online are being so mean to Bella Ramsey. Um,
Hmm.
and because she was awesome in Game of Thrones. Everyone loved her in Game of Thrones. She's
Yeah.
awful as Ellie. I don't think her acting's believable. I think season one, I thought she was great because she was just like a kid, like this goofy kid on this
Yeah.
long road trip. In season two, I can't stand her. Cannot stand her. I don't think she's good. The whole scene where you're talking about in the basement when she kills Nora,
Yeah.
her rage doesn't seem believable. Nothing seems believable to me. I
Yeah.
I was so disappointed, but the casting of Abby bothers me so much. Um,
Really.
because it's this, and sure, maybe that girl's a good actress. I don't know. But a huge part of Abby's character, not just her appearance, but her character of who she is her physicality. So I don't know if you've seen what Abby looks like in the game.
Mm-mm.
She's jacked. I mean, and so her strength, and they even when they describe her, or like people that don't know her describe her, saying like a girl that's built like an ox, and she's
Mm.
very strong, very powerful, and then again consumed with rage in her own way. And it's funny. The first time I played it, I told you I was so angry about having to play Abby, because it just killed Joel. This character that, and plus me as a parent too, and I, with him having lost his daughter, and then understanding like this um, patriarchal role of like wanting to protect this other girl. Um, you
Mm.
know, so me totally identifying with that. The second time I played through it again about 4 months ago, I think 4 or 5 months ago. And this time I completely switched where I was Team Abby 100% of the time. But it's interesting because when you choose, it's like when you watch Breaking Bad the first time and then you watch it again. The first time I watched it, I couldn't stand Skylar. I hated Skylar so much. Like she's just the
Mm.
most awful
Yeah.
character, and because you want to identify with Walt, and then as you go throughout it, you see that Walt is a monster. So then when you rewatch
Yeah.
Breaking Bad, you look at it completely different. The same thing with this. When you realize why Abby is the way she is, but then I'm excited for you to see her character arc because then, um,
Hmm.
so I, yeah, I was so disappointed, and I
Yeah, I don't know
unfortunately
if maybe
turned.
the
Go ahead.
reason for the casting choice was because they wanted somebody who was a little bit more like Ellie, so you could see what she's
Mhm.
already become, and you could see what Ellie's becoming, and how easy it is. Because that, you know, like they say, the reason why we like to watch villains is not because we want to become them. It's because we understand how easy it is to become them. If we were in the same situation, um, we might act very similarly. Her dad was just killed and he wasn't even armed.
Yeah.
Like I would feel a certain way about that if I was her. And so like you see the parallel, like Ellie's basically catching up to her.
Hmm.
And but they did kind of hint at this army that she has, which I don't know anything about that because I haven't played the game, but obviously she's a very important person.
Mhm.
And if I'm to believe that she's this, military mastermind, then I would probably agree with you that she doesn't really embody that. She doesn't seem like somebody that should be in charge of an army. Like
Well,
maybe a squadron, but
yeah.
like,
Yeah, I mean, even if you just look at images, I mean, even if you just Googled and I mean, she's built, she's strong, she's powerful, and again, it's part of who she is. And I know Neil Druckmann was trying to explain that it's not integral to Abby, but it is because it's in the story. It's part of the story. Um, so I don't know. I mean, I'm gonna hang through the end of it, but I appreciate hearing someone's perspective because I'm so jaded on it, and I was so negative about it from the start.
are you jaded on Fallout? Did you play Fallout?
Fallout's not exactly following the same story. That's okay that it's different. It's not
Oh, okay.
following the games exactly. This is following something with canon, that
Mm.
already has an established story. They're not making a spin-off. They're literally taking the same shots in a lot of cases are in the thing. So, and the fact they did little things like changing the ethnicity of people, like stuff like that, that's hard for people to overcome.
Mm.
When you already have the source material and it's source material that it's well known and people love. So I
I
think,
think I made my peace with that like years ago. Like I just don't care as much about that anymore. Like I understand why some people are upset about it, but it's not something I worry about anymore. It's like that's the creative choice that they made. It's like whatever. What matters is how does it affect the story? Is it like casting what's her name? Something Deaver as
Kate,
Abby,
Caitlin
Caitlin
Deaver.
Deaver.
Hmm.
Casting her as Abby is certainly going to change how people interact with the story, and it's going to change how her character is perceived.
Hmm.
Um, whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, I don't know.
I think Caitlin Deaver would have been a better Ellie. I think look wise. Um, because yeah, again, like the character, yeah, it's just too different for me.
Mm.
Yeah, I'm struggling with it, and I want to love it so much, but I'm struggling, man.
I
So
think I think you'll I think you'll survive.
I will survive. It's very true. I will survive.